I'd like to synchronize recording. So, hello everyone, and appreciate you coming and spending time with us in this second of our Viva Breakthrough, virtual Viva Breakthrough sessions. We have Meta Louise Holland here and Bernie Gillespie, and they're going to say a word about who they are in the world and what their role with the three principles is, or innate health as it's variously called. And then welcome to our guests, which is lovely. And we're going to be exploring fear of the unknown. And this was brought to our attention as a very, I think in our own experience, Sheila and I have come across this a lot, but somebody pointed out that in her work too, that this was an oft asked question. You know, how do I stop letting fear of the unknown, shackle me almost, or prevent me from taking new steps? And I think it's such a rich topic. And yeah, and as we go exploring, what we do know is that we don't have scripts for this. We're going to see what comes to mind, and together, hopefully, it'll be fun, and it'll give us a sense of the kind of feeling and the sorts of experiences that we want Viva to present people with, opportunities for this. I think of it as a quite intimate and very personal interchange with people, and so let's see how we go. So first off this evening we have Bernie, so welcome Bernie.
Hello, thank you very much. It's nice to be here in the unknown, which it really is, because I haven't done this before in this way, and I haven't met Meta before, so it's nice to meet you. Or is it Meta Louise? Is it the double barrel? Is it the? Yeah. So yeah, I have to say from personal experience, coming to the principles has sort of brought me into the unknown further and further and further. The more my life unfolds, because I've been doing things that I never thought I would be doing. I never thought I would be helping people in this way. That's the first thing. So to say a little bit about that, I'm facilitating in Ireland with this understanding the principles, which we know that that's what we're pointing to, and it was a surprise to me to start doing that. I didn't expect to be doing that, but when I did a course in London, and what I heard on that course changed me so much that I really felt that I wanted to share this and help get the word out in whatever way I could. And that was a completely unknown entity, quantity, whatever you want to call it. I had no idea how to go about that. I had no idea if I would be able to go about that. I still don't know sometimes. I had no experience of doing that. I had no experience of working one-to-one with anybody. It was the complete and utter unknown. And I won't say that I wasn't scared. I won't say that I haven't had all sorts of thoughts about that. I have, and I still do. But what this understanding has given me, and I see that to be true in the people that I work with, is that you kind of have a ground to stand on, even if that is not knowing. Because in a way, when we're relying on what we think we know, when we're relying on what we think is going to happen, when we rely on what has happened in the past, which we can then use to think we know what's going to happen in the future, it gets in the way of the freshness that can come in the moment. And that freshness is available to all of us, So on a scale of actually getting out there and getting started, step by step, moment by moment, you just do the next thing that makes sense. And you don't know what that's going to be. Because let's face it, you know, we don't even know what the next thought we're going to have is. We don't know what the next feeling we're going to have is. We don't know how life is going to unfold because it hasn't. And that can be a scary thing, or it can be an exciting thing, or it can be a beautiful thing, depending on what thoughts we have about it. But in and of itself, it's just what it is. And on a smaller scale, like for me, I think the first thing that was frightening was to sit with another person without having any experience of it and not knowing what was going to come up, not knowing what somebody would come to me with, what kind of pain or suffering or life experience or what they would need help with. And what I've seen is that actually it doesn't matter what we're presented with, because really seeing where our experience is coming from, we know that the person that we're sitting with, they have the answers that they need. So we don't need to worry. We don't need to worry about what emotions they will experience or what life experiences they bring, because we know that they're okay inherently. We know that they're okay. So that was the first thing, that like an unknown quantity that I was afraid of when I started to work with people. And I kind of had all these categories of, well, I can only work with maybe this type of person or this type of person, because I know how to deal with that. But actually, the more and more I see that it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't have to know. We don't have to know. We don't even have to have the experience. I used to think that, well, I need to have a certain life experience to be able to sit with somebody and talk about that particular thing. But I see that that's not even true as a helper. It's not. The ground that you sit on is, in a way, you're not knowing. Like really sitting in the unknown with the human being in front of you and allowing the wisdom to emerge in the moment. And that may come from them or it may come from you. But if you're already in your ideas about how it should look, how their healing should look, or I should have the answers, then that gets in the way. That's the first thing that occurred to me, because I know that was on my mind when I was starting out, and I felt deeply inadequate to sit in front of another human being because I don't know the answers for them. But I now see that that's actually a helpful thing. It's when I think I know that I get in trouble every time. Life will always show me. And that's true of my personal life, it's true of my working life, it's true of everything. Every time I think I know what's going on, life will show me, oh, you were in an assumption there, you made that up. That's not how it works. And that's brought kind of humility, but mostly humor now, I have to say, because I just see how laughable it is. And then in terms of, getting started, not quite knowing, I think if we're all honest in a way, none of us know what we're doing really. That's my personal opinion, but, I used to look at people who kind of put themselves out as experts, and I would feel an inadequacy because I thought, oh, they know. I know that I don't know, but they know. And what I really love to see is that actually we're all in the unknown together, and we're just kind of doing our best with that, But we have got everything we need inside of us to deal with what life presents, every single one of us. So we don't need to know. And if we went to a movie and we knew what was going to happen, we knew the script, we knew everything that was going to happen, it sort of take away from the experience of the movie, I would say, So not knowing to me has changed its it's changed my view of it has changed. I've appreciated maybe the value in not knowing, because there's always something new to see. There's always something new to experience. And yeah, we might not always get it right, but that's also okay. Well, that's the first few things that occurred to me. I don't know if that is kind of that along the lines of what you were thinking in terms of for a helping professional. That if it's relevant or not. You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay.
It's relevant for me anyway, Bernie. I like it.
Yeah. No, I loved it, and it was so clear, and so thank you for that. Beautiful.
Yeah, when you were speaking, I was thinking about, or it brought me to think about that when we watch a movie and something happens that we didn't know, that really surprised us. That's the best things. The films I really remember is the films that really surprised me. So it's like when we know there's nothing really at stake because we're just sitting in a cinema, we can really enjoy this surprise. And then when it's our lives, oh, that's a different story. We think we need to know. Yeah, just remember that thrill of being surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said about it when there's nothing at stake, because that's the thing, isn't it? If we feel that there's something at stake, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want me to take over a little, or do you want to talk more?
Okay. No, I'd love to hear you now for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that is where the fear of the unknown comes from, is that misunderstanding about what the unknown is. It makes us think that there's something at stake. And that's where I love the principles, because they point us towards how there's nothing really at stake, only but our thinking. And I also, one of the things that occurred to me when you were speaking was like, I remember some month before I came across, I came across the 3 principles. I remember I had this thought. It occurred to me a couple of months ago. I was like, oh my God, that was huge, but I'd completely forgotten. But the thing was that I had this thought one day. I thought, well, now I've really been trying to run life. I've really been trying to do the right things and make this work and have fun, and it's like it's not working. So I think I'm ready for whomever runs this to take over. So if you got any plans with me, you can go ahead. I'm ready. And it felt a little scary, but I knew it was true. I knew I was like, I'm at this point now. And that was completely stepping into the unknown. But it was just a thought, and I forgot everything about it. But some month ago, it occurred to me that, wow, maybe that played a part in me coming across the principles, which I had no knowledge of existed. And it feels like it wasn't my idea, but it was like some kind of wisdom's idea. I don't know. But if we're afraid of the unknown, we're not really afraid of the unknown, because we can't know what that is, and then of course we cannot be afraid of it. The only thing we can be afraid of is our thinking of it. It's just like death. People think they're afraid of dying, but they're only afraid of their thinking about what it is, because we don't know what it is, except for the ones who tried it briefly and come back, and they describe it like, I want to go back, can't wait. So that's really the power of thought, isn't it? That Um, I had a call with Dick and Bettinger half a year ago or something, and he asked me, he said, like, let's talk about the unknown. What do you see about that? And it just popped out of my mouth that the unknown is the safest place I know. I didn't even knew that I felt like that, but it was really true, because I've started to see what it is. And that, of course, that's where I want to be. Because every time I try to run life with my intellect and I try to do my job via my own personal thinking, it always goes wrong. And every time I shut up the best I can, things go better. So I think it's just a misunderstanding of how life works that makes us afraid of the unknown. It's our intellect always ruins things innocently. It's just like asking a 3-year-old to bake cookies. They're like ruining the whole kitchen and putting their life on risk. And it turns out to be little burnt cookies, stone hard. And then if you start as this 3-year-old to realize that mommy bakes so much better cookies than you, it's like a win-win for you to start to let her take over the cookie baking. And that's how I feel more and more. It's like, why would I want me to bake life? Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember the content of my realization about this, but I really remember the feeling. I really remember when I saw, oh my God, this is how it's working. The less I struggle, the better the feeling, the better life is. That's a win-win. It's like, I'm in. So whenever we struggle, we yeah, ruin it. It's just because our personal minds has got it all backwards. Like we think we can control the future by thinking about it, like making up stories about how it's gonna work, and of course it doesn't work, and it never turns out that way anyway. So I remember once when I sat with a client who was, to me, in my thinking, an authority. He was a bank director with 500 people under him, and I had some thinking about what could I possibly do for him. And I just saw that thinking, and it became so obvious to me, well, this kind of thinking definitely won't help him. It only prevents me from listening to him and what pops up for me. So it just was so obvious that the unknown was so much a better alternative. How could it help him sitting there and making myself insecure? Yeah, that was some of what popped up for me. Don't know if you want to elaborate, Bernie, if that's all right.
Yeah, I don't know what the right word is, but we're in the unknown, so that's okay. I loved the example of handing it over to the mum to bake the cookies. That was just really sweet. Because, you know, we have these ideas about what's going to happen. Like, and we have these ideas that it's us doing what's going to happen. And where is that all coming from? It's coming from the unknown. And all life comes from there. All life. It's doing it. So it's doing the fear of the unknown as well as the realizing there's nothing to be frightened of. It's doing all of it. And what looks like the most frightening thing, to let your hands off the wheel, is actually the most liberating. But it's kind of realizing that you were never the driver in the first place, in a way. You know? My friend Ian shared this lovely example. I just thought it was so simple and so sweet, of how, you know, those little kids, they have little steering wheels that they give them in the car. They put beside, they attach to the front, and the child thinks they're driving. And it's kind of a bit like that, you know. We think we're driving. We even get this little pretend steering wheel, but we were never in charge. We were never in charge in the first place. And it's like, you know, I loved what you said about kind of the unknown being the safest place, because that's my experience too. In fact, dropping into the unknown, and it's not even that, because we're already there. It's just dropping out of the thoughts or seeing through the thoughts that look like they're in the way. It's the most beautiful thing in the world as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's the source of all intelligence and all creativity. Like, any artist lives in the unknown, any musician, anybody who's creating anything, they live in the unknown. All the beauty comes from there, all the juice, all the aliveness. And I think the more we get familiar with that, that takes our fear away. So it's not like we have to do anything about fear of the unknown. In a way, it's almost the opposite. Fall into the unknown, and that will take care of it. That will take care of it, because when you fall in there, or when you recognize, in a way, you are the unknown. So it's not even that you go anywhere, because the unknown is what we are. That takes care of it. So there's nothing even to do. That takes care of it. It's recognizing that you are the unknown, unfolding moment to moment. That takes care of all of you. That's what occurred to me when you were speaking.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, like, falling back into the unknown makes us see things as they are. Whereas staying in this kind of thinking where you want to know things and want to make sense is a place where you sort of make up sense innocently, because you think you need control. And I'm like, who wants a story? I don't care. I don't want to live in something I made up. I'd rather get, if it's only a tiny glimpse of what is, I prefer that. And the more I fall back, the more I see the beauty of who we are. So there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, we cannot even imagine the beauty and the potential of life and who we really are in our essence. So of course we want our essence. And of course that is what we will see when we let go of what we thought we knew. So the way back into the unknown, which I completely agree, we're there always. We cannot escape from that, as this is what it is. The only thing we can do is like letting go. Letting go, letting go, letting go. There's not even effort to it. It's the opposite. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I don't want to live in a story either, and yet I sometimes do.
Yeah, me too.
And yet I sometimes do. It's like, it's so amazing, to me that that's the case. But you're right,
Yeah.
and we're pointing back to something that is always here. It's always true. It's always present. And yet the way it reveals itself to us is new each time. It's incredible, isn't it? It's like every time we fall back into it and it reveals what is, it shows itself in a new way. So it's always, always, always revealing itself in a different way. And I guess it has to, because once we think we see it, like we can make a concept up about that, like what we've seen, that's the unknown. But it's like, it's not, it's just a little bit of it revealed itself and became known. But there's still the unknown. So it's like, wow, I don't know, I just love that. Like, it's always going to be unknown. It's infinite. Like, there's just so much that we can't. We get a little glimpse, and then there's more, and there's more, and there's more, because it's just infinite.
Yeah. Yeah, and yes, and I love that thing about the freshness and this infinite way, creative way, it's ways it's showing up. Like, it makes me think of another thing I thought about when I thought about this subject. That that's funny. I just forgot it as I was talking. The unknown was like calling Meta Louise. Forget your old thinking. That happens to me sometimes with my clients. I'm like, I have a really good idea and I start to speak, and then I completely like go blank, and it's so helpful. I'm like, thank you. And I have no idea what to say. And a lot of times it's because it was a really good time not to say anymore. Yeah. One thing that came to me just before this call started was just popped into my head, this thing about surrendering makes perfect sense when you start to realize that in your own thinking mind, you are the only enemy. Like when I met the principals and I realized how many ways I have been innocently standing in my own way. And it looked so solid and so true and so real. And then I started to see, it's just thinking. All these huge stones in my own way is thinking. It's thought. It's not real. And it started to dissolve, and something more fun life started to emerge. And I just didn't know before. I know people say like, you are your own worst enemy, but I never really understood it until I saw, oh yeah, that's the only enemy there is, innocently. And now I know what I was saying, what I forgot before. It was about freshness. Because I love what you said about we need to see it in new ways all the time to get like guided further than our conceptual mind starts to like stiffen things up. Like, now I know this, now I know this, now I know this. And life has to surprise us to keep waking us up. Because that was also one of the things I see about this unknown thing, that personal mind loves concepts because it loves the illusion that it is in control. So it loves to know stuff. So it's easy to make up rules in life, like don't trust men, or don't eat this and eat a lot of that, and work hard and don't work hard. And but life is so complex, and it's ever moving. This is life's thing. It's alive, it's moving, it's new all the time. And there's so many pieces in the world. There's never two situations that are the same. So of course we cannot make rules. Of course no rule will fit any situation. So our only chance is the unknown, because we need a fresh answer any minute. And what I thought yesterday, why would it fit today? So it's a good thing not to know. It's like, I was thinking about these cartoon characters with thought bubbles. And if you fill your thought bubble with a lot of thinking and a lot of knowing and a lot of rules and stuff, there's no place for the light bulb. And that's the only thing we need, just a little light bulb once in a while. Once a week or something.
I think I'm greedy. I want more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say something that you've sort of prompted me to think about is, how children don't have a concept of known and unknown. They don't kind of think about it, but they're constantly, it seems to me when I look at them, that they have the known at their disposal. They know what they know, but they're forever reaching out and exploring. They remain curious. And I don't think they make up these divisions until a bit later. So they're moving in and out, and they're using their bedrock of what they know. They know that bricks fall over if you push them, and that can be fun. But they also don't know how tall they can make the brick pile. So that's unknown, but it's fun. And I think they have that contact with, I think what you're pointing at is, there is, what could we possibly be afraid of that we don't know? Because there's no logic there. And I see that what we've sometimes done is turn it around the other way, and the only thing we can be afraid of is the known. And that's made up. So it's crazy. It's just like a back to front thing going on. And children remind us that we made all of that up. Even the terms known, unknown, and then we build stories around them. And so it goes on. And yet we don't have to. When we remember that that's not a God-given or universal given rule. It doesn't exist outside of our thinking. It's just not there, is it?
Yeah, I love how you said that, because it makes me think that even unknown is a concept as soon as we talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that was why I forgot what I was going to say, because mind wanted. Yeah, a little quiet. Yeah. Yeah.
Do Leslie or Jude, does anything come to mind for you, or any questions you like, or jump in and say something? I'll just unmute you, because we seem to be very quiet people, though, nicely behaved, quiet people. So
I was thinking that for me, quite often this thing about controlling feels like the known, and it feels safe, but actually it's cutting down on all the unknown, or all the new things that can happen. And the older we get, a lot of us, our vision gets narrower and narrower, unless we can actually stop using that control to control the known in our lives, which we think is safe, but actually isn't safe at all, because we're just cutting ourselves off from everybody and everything, I think. Don't know. That's what it feels like. And it's just, it's like daring as well as, the thing about fear. You have to dare to be different, or dare to just actually take the step into another place. For me, may not be for you, Leslie, or Ernie, but...
Yeah, and also what occurs to me when you say that, the feeling of fear itself is pointing us towards that now we're in the end of our thinking where we don't want to pay attention to our thinking. Like we can know for sure that this won't be helpful, whatever thinking comes with that fear.
It depends on where we are in our levels of consciousness, though, because when I'm in a fearful place, I don't remember. And that's the thing, isn't it, about what feels like the known feels safe, but actually it's not at all safe or comfortable or anything. Because it's like so often we'll stay there until we say, okay, well, maybe I don't have to. And I more and more know that I don't have to stay there in that uncomfortable place, which is wonderful. So freeing, fantastic.
Yeah.
But when I was sometimes talking to people, I'm not saying, oh, the three principles, but just looking at things in a different way, I can feel people holding on to the known. I think, okay, this is the wrong time. Not the right time to be talking to you, but I learn so much from just seeing that in other people. I learn about myself, and just a split second of something from them, even if it is a negative, really.
I think that's a lovely thing about the unknown as well. This thing about we can learn from anyone and any situation. If we don't,
even when it's not a positive, it can just really show you something.
As long as we don't bring this I know it all stuff into a situation, because then I don't learn anything.
Absolutely. The thing about, the people who really know, they're the ones that cut themselves off somehow, or feel, oh yeah, I've really got it. And I spend a lot of time thinking, oh, I haven't got it at all. And then, it's a fluidity, actually. It's not about control, which is rigid, because all those words you were using, I kind of thought, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but it's that thing about just floating along and allowing yourself to be there, or not, or someone, You can mute me now.
I don't know.
No,
I like it. I'm going to hear you.
Yeah.
I know that there have been times when people have kind of maybe been speaking to me, and I've grasped and wanted to hang on to the known, just like you were saying. And it might have looked like I didn't hear anything, but afterwards I did. So even sometimes when it looks like someone doesn't hear, sometimes they have, and that kind of reaction is evidence that they have sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's always also a thing that taught me something about the unknown, because what I saw in my practice was that I didn't have a clue who would hear what when. And I could have thinking about, with this client, it's going to be hard, blah, blah, blah. And then next time they could come back and completely see something huge. And I could have thinking about, oh, this is we're so close. I just have to say 3 words and they'll be completely getting it, and they never got it. So that's thought too. That's again personal mind getting so thrilled about one's own thinking that it really seems like reality. Forget it's thinking.
It's so good at its job, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it keeps amazing me. Like, whoa, it's so well made, this experience, life. Whoa.
Really funny.
Yesterday I saw a TV program where a lady was showing people with a camera her house, and then she was really proud, and she was showing the tiles on the floor in the kitchen, and they were put is the word diagonally?
Yeah.
How would you say it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like really proud, and she said, yeah, and we paid extra for getting that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's thought too. Because in my thinking up until then, it was a fact that tiles, not diagonally, whatever, is the right, and is a nice thing, and the other thing is a really ugly thing. So I would pay extra to get that removed if I bought that house, and I hadn't seen that as thinking. I was like, oh, her reality is just as real as mine. Oh. Yeah, keeps amazing me.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I love how you use the word fluidity, because it's like anything that looks solid, there's wiggle room, because we know it's not. It might solidify for a while, and then we'll loosen out of it again, and it'll solidify and loosen out again. But we know that, and it doesn't even matter what age. It doesn't matter what stage we are in life. It doesn't matter. None of those things apply. None of them. None of those conditions.
Yeah, and that reminds me, when you say that, that reminds me that everything that we can know is part of the formed, and therefore it's bound to go. Sooner or later, it's coming and it's going, so we cannot rely on that. So therefore, of course, the unknown is our best friend, because we have these principles and they're formless and we can never really see them, but we can sort of sense them. But there are this, as you said in the beginning, there's a solid foundation beneath our feet. And they're completely unknown, but they're there for us all the time.
That's awesome. I really love how you just said that, actually. I can't remember what you said, but I really liked it.
Me neither.
What about Leslie? Is she?
Me? I have nothing to say. I'm just sat here nursing flu and enjoying. So I'm totally in the unknown. The unknown of my health, and I'm just floating with that.
Another thought that your conversation, and I'd be interested to know if this has sort of impacted on you at all. But I come back to time and time again the extraordinary taking for granted the fact of how we communicate through speech. So what I'm pointing at is, I honestly don't really know what I'm going to be saying next. It is all coming from the unknown. Now, the only reason that can happen, and it's so fast, and it never crossed my mind to even think about it. I always assumed I was talking about, always, it would be from what I know, but we're not, are we? Because we have fresh, new ideas. And aren't they great? And don't they feel different? But it's not to say that, the stuff that we know that's helpful to us, because we're not really talking about that, are we? We're talking about the fear that comes from stuff that we know that's actually holding us back, but we don't realize that. And for me, that's the extraordinary part of the very ordinary, if you like, of just talking. How can that be so extraordinary? You know, that system is so extraordinary. It's the foundation is there. We don't have to be forming that sentence and then saying it. It's not like we're translating ourselves. It's happening from in the instant. It's remarkable to me when I remember it. Another time, you don't go around thinking about the system all the time, or else that would be a bit weird too. But that blows me away sometimes. I think nobody really knows what's coming next unless you're citing something. And yet we kind of we can, it's like we've got a sail on the boat, and generally speaking, we can stay on top. Well, some of us more than others.
Yeah, I heard it's a female thing too.
What, like shopping?
No, like talking before we're thinking.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I sit with a client and speak, and then I'm thinking, I wonder what I'm gonna say, like while I'm saying it. But it's like I go with the feeling. So, and then it's a good day. And if I don't, yeah. Yeah, because I think it's like when you were talking, I was thinking, it's like I go with the feeling of what I want to say. I don't know what I want to say, but that's this feeling guiding me. And then some words show up. Don't know, yeah.
Well, there's no real gap, is there?
Sometimes it's like...
What?
Yeah. What you described of how it's just one seamless is the word that came to me. It's beautiful, isn't it? Just really beautiful. That's what occurred to me when you described that, was just how beautiful that is. That we don't need to think about it. We don't need to, it's just there for us. And it's happening. Spontaneously happening. Completely in free flow. And even when we are caught up, that's also part of the free flow. You know? That's also part of it.
It's also because it's not really in the words, is it? I remember when I heard the first words about the principles, and it was thought creates feeling. But the impact it had on me was like this thing I saw, whoa, something way beyond those words. And that's a good thing for us as facilitators, that we can sometimes say crappy things, but people can hear their own wisdom anyway.
Yes, thank God.
Thank God.
Kind of what you said about it being, you know, about the feeling, it kind of brings it back again, that the form it takes, like, it's going to be different. It's going to be different in every facilitator. It's going to be different in every person as they're sharing. So we don't have to know anything about what form it should take. We really don't. And that's very freeing. It's very, very freeing, because I don't know about you, but I know for me, for quite a while, I was looking at how other people were working and thinking I should maybe work a little bit like they are, because I thought they knew, right? And as I started to let that go and drop back into myself again, and drop back into the unknown, it started to change. And sometimes it would look very, very different to maybe how I would have seen somebody else facilitate. But it was helpful. It was the right thing at the right time. Because it doesn't have to look any particular way. These principles are taking form as everything. So, and there's probably, I don't know how many new forms, new ways that they can come. So there's probably people gonna, come up with ways of sharing the principles behind life, coming up with ways of working with people that are brand new that we haven't seen. Like people taking it into different forms, different settings, different ways of sharing. Maybe even without words, Maybe using your body, using art. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so funny for me to see how it's like every time I don't look at the principles, I sort of really forget what they are. It's like, I don't know it's good, but what was it? And then whenever I sit and talk about it, it occurs to me again, like, yeah, of course this is it, and it's, oh yeah, there it is. And then as soon as I walk out in life again, it's like, yeah, what am I doing? I'm not sure. And that's, of course, since we're trying to point towards something formless, of course that must be part of the deal. It's like it keeps playing hide and seek with me.
Yeah, me too. I've also had people who've maybe done like a 6-week course, and at the very end, they've said, now what are those principles? They've completely changed. They've completely turned around. And at the very, very end, they're like, before I go, you better tell me what those principles are again, because I forget. It's really
well, it's not surprising, is it, really? Because we live in a majority rule is the opposite to what we're talking about. Yeah, you stick with the known. This where you can rely on it, and it's concrete because it's happened 10, 20, 30 times before. Of course you can predict it. And I've had some interesting conversations because just recently, hi Yai, how are you? Can't hear you. And certainly because this year's quite busy with 2 weddings, children getting married, or grown-up children getting married, and a house move. And when I speak to people friends who are not around anything to do with this, they'll often say, oh my goodness, they're the 2 top stress factors, weddings and house moves, changing jobs. And it's straight away into, they know that it's really stressful, and that they know there are certain experiences everybody will have, and I'm going to have too. And I'm being surprised by, when I talk to people, particularly to Sheila, she won't make a fuss about it, because she just knows, well, you make of it what you make of it. And you'll probably be a bit tired, but there's no drama. There's no fait accompli. There is just, it'll be, I don't know, will it be a terrible day? Will it pour with rain, or will it be a gusting winds? Will the removal men turn up? None of that matters to me. It doesn't even, it's so uninteresting. And so I think that I'm now surprised by having this experience of, actually, the showing up of it in practical, healthful ways, helpful and healthful, astonish me time and time again. In my own life is they're not concrete examples though, of how different it is now. That's not happening now. Therefore, really need to think about it. And actually the best thing I can do is be really clear in my mind about what needs to be done, do it, make a list, do that, and then forget it and just get on with now. Otherwise you're forever missing your own life.
I'm muting myself.
Oh, good.
I was just thinking when you were talking about that, so that I think I told you a couple of weeks ago I had a really silly accident. And basically I boiled the kettle and then proceeded to pour it on my hand. So literally the kettle was just boiled, so I'm pouring boiling water onto my hand. So instantly, without me even realising, no thought involved, absolutely no thought involved, I dropped everything, and my breathing just went into sort of a shock sort of mode. I think it was like I did not know that was going to happen. I was just thinking that was really, I thought about it, the miracle of how the body just goes, it does its thing without us having to do anything, if you like, breathing, heart beating, blood pumping, all that stuff. But I had no idea that was going to happen. Unknown. I had no idea how I was going to deal with it. Unknown. But my body just went into reaction mode without me having to do anything. And that really is, it's one of those things we just take for granted all the time, that the body is in the unknown in a way. For us as people with the personal thought, we have no idea how to run it particularly. But we just take that for granted. It's an unknown quantity to us until we start studying, and yes, we can do anatomy and physiology and work it all out, but the common man walks around in a body that has no idea how it's actually working. But we just take all that for granted, don't we? And then we're scared of things that we conceptualize as being the unknown, and how we're walking around in this unknown vehicle, if you like, of life. But we don't stop and sort of recognise that and take that in. It's just occurred to me about that, the freshness of that for me. It is amazing, isn't it?
Incredible.
Just make all that up about the unknown and the known, and but I don't know what will happen, and think, well, you don't really know what's happening on the inside of your body, so why would you worry about what's happening on the outside of your body? It's as close as that, Stuff's being digested at this very moment, but you don't know how it's happening. Unknown.
No, and this is pointing us. Sorry? No, I was just saying this points us towards what potential there lies in this mastermind intelligence that runs us all. Because it's like doing life moment by moment, and always with this fresh intelligence. So it's not like that once in a while there's no blood in my left arm because nature forgot to pump it all over there. It's like it's really, really, really going with the moment by moment needs my body has. And compared to what my personal mind can come up with, I'd rather no.
Imagine if all the cells in our body decided they were going to I'm just going to get involved here because, she's out of breath and I think I can probably help. No, it just works as this beautiful unity. Everything has a place, and it's unified and it's connected, and that's what we are within ourselves, within our world, and it's only our thought that creates the fear, and the thought that creates the separation, and the thought beguiles into thinking, yeah, do you know what? Instinctively I feel this, but you know what? Logically I'm going to do that, or whatever. We just get a little bit gung-ho or arrogant or innocently a bit egotistical.
Enjoy your dinner. Bye.
So if people asked you, how can I stop myself being afraid of the unknown? Key question. What comes to you? Because I've had that question asked of me, and I've listened to people talking about this, and it seems to make a sensible question. If you're standing in another place, and we have that question, and it's like, well, how do we kind of lift that person into another? So they're standing in a different place, and then they look at that and they go, well, that doesn't make any sense, does it? But you can't tell them it doesn't make any sense. It's like, how do we help people so they're not afraid to take that next step?
I guess, what occurs to me is, obviously it's specific to that individual in that moment, of course. But helping them connect with who they are, helping them connect with what's already present, what's already deeply true within them, and helping them see what they think the unknown isn't. Helping them understand the nature of their thinking. But when you describe too that intelligence in the body and the unity within ourselves and the unity within the whole, that was just so beautiful. And to me, that's where I'd be pointing someone. Because we only really feel separate. We only really feel afraid of life when we feel separate from it. In my experience, I think when we realize our connection, when we realize that deeper sense, as far as I can tell, that kind of takes care of the fear. It's just when we're separate, when we think we're separate, we feel afraid. But when we recognize that we are life, what's to be afraid of? That's what occurs to me.
I love that, Bernie. I got this image of personal mind, like when it separates in our experience, when we separate from the whole and look towards life. We of course will have everything backwards. Everything will look opposite of what it is. And when we start to realize who we are and how this experience works, and we start to fall back into what we really are, everything will fall back into place, and we can start to see from a totally different perspective. Just got this image. So yeah, absolutely agree. It comes down to understanding. And when we come from this place where we ask how-to questions, there's a lot of things we could talk about how that part of our mind works, and that's not all there is to our minds. Before I innocently, what do you call it? I keep forgetting English words. I thought I was the personal mind. I identified with my personal thinking because, yeah, that's how it occurred to me. And when I saw that is such a small part of the continuum of what a mind is, I start to reconnect to what I've always been. And I think that's what you're pointing to, see who we are, see our true potential. And it will start happen without us doing anything. And that's one of the things that are so cool with the principles, that we oftentimes change without noticing until later, and we were like, whoa, where did that thinking go? Where did that pain go?
Or sometimes somebody will reflect back, oh, you're different. Oh, how? You know,
oh, what?
That's different. Or somebody else will notice the change when we haven't even noticed ourselves.
Yeah,
Somebody else can reflect back, oh, you're different. You're not doing that thing that you used to do. And it's like you're not even aware, because the change is, you just fall back into something that's kind of natural. Just natural for us.
Yeah.
Like a naturalness.
Do you think one of the really, really big areas is in terms of unknown, and again the opposite way around, is we're living our lives often with so much concern about what we think other people think, what they will think, what they have thought, as if that's a known to us, or but we don't know. Sometimes they tell us, but it seems like that's got a reality that can do something to us, or it's got a significance. And I mean, I think it feels like a huge area where we're making something known that isn't. But and so therefore, how can we continue when we see that to be afraid or be concerned? It doesn't make any sense anymore, is it? Something that seems so concrete suddenly doesn't make any sense anymore, and therefore we just naturally. So that's the letting go in a way. It's not that we think, what do I have to let go of? Oh, I've done it. It's more about, oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
And because you mentioned natural, and I think that's what we're really saying, that the misunderstanding has been really about what is truly nature, what is the true nature of us and our lives and the way we work, as it were. And getting glimpses of that, going right back to how you started, sort of talking about getting glimpses of the present. Like, this thing is happening now, and it isn't known. until it's known and it's instantaneous, and then the next bit comes along. And again, I don't know who said it. I think perhaps Jude said it's so freeing, so liberating to live closer to that, but not to try and get fixed on it either.
For me, one of the, oh, sorry.
Are you going to jump in here, Yair?
If I start talking, I won't stop, you know me.
I can mute you, don't you worry.
No, I was just thinking, it's you talk about the unknown, and I had my haircut today. And the reason that I had my haircut is because I needed a haircut. Not that I have much hair, but I needed. And because I'm having a job interview tomorrow. So I told the barber that I'm having a job interview tomorrow. And he said to me, you know, when I'm looking for work, I actually like it. You know, I'm excited about it. And I said to him, you know, it's very unusual because normally people are afraid, they're concerned when they're looking for jobs. You know, they are stressed. They have a lot of, fears about it. He said, yeah, it is unusual. I said to him, but I think I know where you're coming from. I think for me, you know, it's the same in a way, because if I have a job, I have one job. But if I don't have a job, everything is possible. I mean, I would probably won't be chosen to be a model for fashion or a CEO of Microsoft or something, you know. But, you know, there's a lot of possibilities. So it is exciting. And now I think people looking at the unknown, and it just depends which direction they look at. You can get totally excited about it because something wonderful is going to happen, or you can get totally scared. And this is something that I experienced many, many years ago, that, you know, I was smoking marijuana, and I was noticing that either that I was becoming paranoid or that I was totally, you know, positive and I'm like in love with the world. And it was just the direction of that I looked at, you know. And I think what Einstein said about that the most important decision we can make is if we are living in a welcoming world or hostile world, you know. It's so true. So true. Today I did something very unusual, by the way. I went to the gym and I did this body attack class. Now, I never did any of these attack classes in my life. So it was me and a bunch of another 20 women doing body attack class. Never mind that in the end, they almost had to take me with a stretch out of it. I was so exhausted. I could hardly move. But yeah, it was a little bit challenging, I must say, uncomfortable, you know. I can just imagine how women feel in the business world. Sometimes, you know, I sit in a room with 10, 20 men and one woman. You know, it is uncomfortable in the beginning, at least. Even though they were all very positive and very encouraging, you know, said, yeah, you're doing really well for the first time, blah, 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 blah. It was challenging.
Are you going back?
Yeah, the problem is that they're closing this gym in the end of the month. So, but these classes are in other gyms as well. I might go. I want to try a few others. You know, these like some funny like body attack and body pump and Zumba and I don't know, all these fun names. So I want to try them to see how they, you know, how they have.
You could try a bit of pole dancing as well.
Pole dancing? I did say rock dancing.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked it initially, but then I stopped. but I tried it.
That would be in the unknown for me, definitely pole dancing. There as well.
But you know, I think sometimes when we go into the unknown, then things are happen, you know, in the right way. It reminds me, you know, in June I was in Salt Springs Island, and there was this one woman from Florida that I became friendly with, and unfortunately, the last day she received a phone call that her dad was very sick, and she was from Missouri, so she had to go to Missouri because he was going to die, and and I just wanted to say, to give her my condolences and also to say goodbye to her because, you know, we spent sometimes, me and her and another friend of her from Florida. And I went to her door, the hotel room, and it has a sign, do not disturb. Now, what do? I'm in the break from the session from the three principals. I want to say just goodbye to her. So I knocked on the door anyway. And I waited, and then the door opened, and I talked to her for a couple of minutes, and then I said, I'm sorry that I knocked on the door because I saw that you had the do not disturb on the door. So she said to me, I didn't hear the knock. I was going to get breakfast. I opened the door. So I thought, this is nice, you know, how it actually worked out so nicely. She didn't even hear me knocking, and she opened the door right as I knocked. And I had a few synchronicities like that happened during this time, actually quite a few.
Going back, to what you were saying at the beginning about the job interviews, you know, and how the barber said he likes it when he's looking for work or whatever. That struck me that it's pretty much like that for people who are in business for themselves. So many people I know don't want to be in business, don't want to be self-employed because of that. Really? You know, they like the security of having a paycheck at the end, you know. Can't think of the word in English.
Salary.
It put into the bank is what I was trying to say. You know, it's there in the bank account at the end of the month without fail. It's there every single month. At least that's what they think. You know, they think it's secure because the check will be there every month until that company goes bust or that they lose their job or something. So it's kind of a false sense of security, but it's that we make up about having a job is secure. Means that I'll get paid at the end of every month. Whereas when you're in business for yourself, when you're self-employed, as a few of us are here on this call, there's no guarantee at the end of the month that there'll be money in the bank at the end of the month because we're not on a salary and we have to go find the business and make sure we create clients, etc., etc. And that's the risk of running a business, isn't it? That's perceived in a risk. And, you know, that risk known. The unknown factor to running a business. And I personally would be on the same side as the barber, if you like. I find that exciting. The thought of going back and working for somebody else now and going back to have it, you know, say for example earning €2,000 a month and that's all I could earn in a month, I would find that very boring. There's not enough in there for me. It's not exciting enough. There's not enough scope. There's not enough opportunity or potential. Whereas most of the people, young people particularly, they just haven't got the
Sheila, you've frozen. We can't hear you.
The current, like any.
Yeah, say everything twice, so maybe it will hear.
Can you hear me now?
Just come back.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on and
Sorry,
off.
it's my internet connection said it was unstable. Or did you hear me say? Nothing.
No, but you're just about to talk about younger people. You said younger people today. And there it sounded like.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, in and out.
Yeah.
In and
It
out.
doesn't matter. I'll be quiet. I'll shut up.
I think when you say this, what occurred to my mind about the unknown is like, I think when we start to get a feel for the principles, we naturally become more familiar with the unknown, because we start to see that we are okay no matter what. So our thoughts about what could happen starts to get less frightening, because we start to realize that how I am doing, how I am feeling doesn't come from circumstance. We are okay no matter what. And then it's not so frightening to let go anymore. And like I for a while I had this thought about, yeah, I could see how you can only feel your own thinking, but if my children were hurt, that was another situation. Then it was outside in. And of course, I will be more sorry than I probably can imagine, probably, if something happened to my children. But I started to realize that even if one of them died, I still work in the same way. Mind, thought, consciousness. And mind is still there to pick me up and help me through this. I'm not broken, no matter what. Knock, knock, knock. May they stay fresh and well. But I think the concept of not knowing is more frightening when you believe that your feelings is coming outside in.
Absolutely.
Mm. And when you talk,
life is a contact sport, and things happen. I was in a contract until November, until 2 weeks ago, and then I was told that they ran out of work for me, so they gave me notice. So in the past I could maybe be very concerned about it. Now I'm not so much. But as Forrest Gump said, shit happens.
Did he say that?
or as Sydney Banks says, life is a contact sport. Things hit us all the time, So
yeah.
The only thing is, what are we doing when it happens? And we always have the choice either to grow from it or to diminish from it.
Yeah, it's like then
it's
we have
our choice.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
It's like we have personal mind making up stories. As soon as life does not go as I planned, as I saw in my thinking, personal mind starts to make up stories about, hey, I didn't ask for this, I don't want this, and we make ourselves feel bad. And then things go in a way we want to, and then we make up stories about, oh, this is good, I like this. So it's like, of course we go up and down because there's so many possibilities in life. Of course it won't go the way we think it will most of the time. And when we start to see that we feel our own stories, it's freeing to let go of them not buy so much into them, because I would prefer the unknown. Let's see, to my big story about I don't want this.
Well, the difference would be going to the cinema and seeing the same film and the same film and the same film, and you go, well, at least I know what's going to happen. I know that it's a bit sad in the middle, and then it's a bit rough here, and I don't like that bit, but it ends okay. Like, that's just such a ridiculous kind of formula, isn't it? Well, not ridiculous, an innocent thing, but you know, we go to the cinema to see fresh things. So that's about life can present us with, well, in this moment, entire possibility lies before us. What movie we're going to create next? And if it serves as well to have a little movie that we repeat, because that's great, you know, the story of me driving to work, I don't really want to have to have a new story about that every day. I want that taken care of, so then when I'm going to work I can think of anything I like. You know, I'm not concentrating on the journey kind of thing. So there's layers of possibility as well.
Or you cannot think at all.
Yeah, I'm very quiet. I'm not sure about the not at all.
I was thinking about something this afternoon. I went for a walk. In the Old Testament, there is a definition of God that is saying that, or the presence of God, that it says that it's a thin sound of silence. Thin sound of silence. Now, I was trying to, I was just thinking about it. I thought, this is a very interesting definition, you know. What does it mean? Why not thick sound of silence? Why just not sound of silence? And I think it's like having an insight, you know. It's a very, very subtle thing. You cannot define it, and it's something really, really thin. You know, you have to be in this specific situation, specific mood, but it's very subtle. It's very delicate. There is nothing strong about it. You know, the strength is in the weakness, in the subtlety of it, in the delicacy of it. You know. So I think it's a very interesting definition. You know, to me, it's a definition of mind. You know, it's the same. I don't know, just an interesting thought.
Well, I have to point out that we are now at the 29 minutes past point, and we, you know, anyone's welcome to ask a question or finish. I mean, I don't know whether you would like to just say some closing remarks or whatever. So, Jude, is there anything you'd like to say to sort of how, you know, you enjoyed the call? I'm just going to unmute you so you can say yes or no.
Yes, I did enjoy the call. And I just was thinking that how we can limit ourselves so much by being fearful of the unknown. For me, that's the most I've learned from this. Is actually, it doesn't matter if it doesn't go right. There's the other wonderful thing that you can just go there and see what happens. Yay! You know, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
And it's so freeing. I mean, that is the whole thing for me. So that's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I never normally, I think this is the first time I've spoken in one of these. I sort of hide behind the camera, so there you go.
Oh, well done. Thanks. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think freeing is definitely a key thing. My experience is that I get fear and fear, you know, as I continue with my life, because layers of habits, of thought just fall away. And it's like you said, Sheila, suddenly I realized that it's not there. Oh, it means that it was there before. Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to, Bernie or Meta, anything you'd like to add or conclude with?
I just want to say it's so lovely to hang out with you from all around. And just occurred to me that every time I'm back in my head, I'm totally alone and out of the now. And every time I'm like falling into the unknown, I connect. That's the freshness, that's the sameness, that's the connection. And that's the feeling I want. And it's been great to hang out with you here.
Thank you.
Me going in and out of my head, as we do.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been lovely to hear everybody, actually. It's, I love what you said about going in and out, because it's amazing, isn't it? Like, we're going in and out of it all the time. And it is such a subtle thing. But I just really want to say how much I loved hearing you at the end talking about getting freer, because I think one of my favorite things in the whole world is to hear somebody say that they feel a bit freer. It's just one of my favorite things. And here's some more of that for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Meta, Louise, and Bernie, and Yaya, and Jude, and Sheila.
All of you, very welcome. Yeah. Look forward. And Leslie, who was here before.
Oh, of course, yes.
We really, really look forward to seeing you in November.
Yeah.
Two ladies for sure, Betty Louise and Bernie, and others. It would be very nice to have you out here at Viva in November.
Yeah, I'm hoping to come, and maybe my 20-year-old might come with me.
No.
Oh, we cater for 20-year-olds. Fiesta, beat, dancing, music. And I'm not even joking. Okay, so fab. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for if you're watching the recording of this, thanks for being here in kind of the virtual one step removed. And look out for the third in our series of virtual Vivas, because we stepped into the unknown, and this is what came into form. And I just think we do it for ourselves. So it's a bonus if other people join.
I love being reminded over and over again.
Yeah, exactly what you said, Meta, Louise. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now.